What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel and to another video. So today I'm joined with Jeff Epstein, the current co-CEO and CFO of Apex Technologies Acquisition Corporation, ticker symbol APXT, which is in the process of merging with AvePoint, one of the largest Microsoft 365 data management solutions providers. So Jeff, I just want to thank you for joining me today.
David, great to see you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for inviting me.
No problem. So to get into the interview a little bit and to get into the conversation, would you mind just kind of sharing to the audience a little bit about yourself, who you are, what your background is leading up to your current leadership role at Apex Technologies Acquisition Corporation, and then also what's your expected role is going to look like once this merger does go through with AvePoint?
I spent my career as a chief financial officer of technology companies. I was the CFO of Oracle, the very large enterprise software company with over $150 billion in market value. And in the last 10 years, I've been an investor with Bessemer Venture Partners, where I'm an operating partner. And I serve on the boards of Twilio and Okta, where I'm the lead independent director of Twilio. So a lot of experience in enterprise software. My partner, Brad Koenig, was the head of Goldman Sachs Global Technology Team. So he and I are experts in technology. And with Apex, we've been looking for a very high quality cloud software company to merge with.
Got it. And I know that you have a solid track history as well from some of the recent interviews that I've seen with you. When you did join Bookings Holdings, the market value of that company was around $1 billion, correct me if I'm wrong. And then when you left after, I think you were there for around 16 years, the market value of that company was around $80 billion, and it's even more today. So, and I think it was very similar as well with Twilio. So can you kind of talk about that briefly, and then also your plans on possibly doing the same thing once you join the board with AvePoint?
Well, I invest my time in addition to my money, and I want to join rocket ships. So I was lucky enough to join Booking years ago when it was Priceline, and we made a number of acquisitions. We acquired Active Hotels and Booking.com and built into the largest travel company in the world. An incredible experience, terrific company. Twilio also is a leading software for communications company. And now just last week, I joined the board of Okta, which is another very exciting company in the identity management world. And I see AvePoint as very similar in a number of ways. TJ Jiang, the CEO of AvePoint, is an engineer. He's a PhD in data science. And the best technology companies I found have founders, CEOs who are still running the companies, who are technical, who understand the products, understand the opportunity, and have built tremendous relationships with customers because they've been able to solve their problems.
Right. So right now you're the co-CEO and you're the CFO at Apex Technology Acquisitions Corporation, which is a SPAC company, a special purpose acquisition company, or essentially a blank check company. So can you kind of briefly explain to the viewers a little bit about what AvePoint is, the services that this company provides, and also the industry that they're in at just a high level view? Because like I stated before, with a SPAC company, their sole purpose is to raise capital and to acquire existing private companies. So can you just explain a little bit more about exactly what AvePoint is to the viewers that are watching this?
Yes, AvePoint is a cloud software data management company. So it sells software to thousands of customers, focused on large companies. 25% of the Fortune 500 are already customers of ours. And we also have a growing mid-market presence. And now in the last year or two, we've been focusing as well on small business. So each of these are increasing vectors for growth. The company's 20 years old, still run by its founding team, who are, as I said, are very technical. And we also a global company. We're in many markets around the world. We're about 40% North America, and then equal the rest in Europe and Asia.
Got it.
And what we do, to answer the question about what we do, is if you are a big company and you use Microsoft Office, Microsoft 365, Microsoft Teams, and Microsoft has 280 million users around the world, so it's a lot of people around the world use Microsoft. Microsoft comes with a basic level of data management and data governance. And if you need enhanced data management, data governance, then you need AvePoint. So the core of our market are financial service companies, governments like the United States State Department is a customer for all their offices all over the world, healthcare companies. Because if you don't manage your data well, you're going to be in trouble with cybersecurity. Cybersecurity hacking is happening all the time, and you might lose data and be in trouble with privacy because you get all these privacy regulations that you can't comply with. So more and more companies, privacy and cybersecurity are their top problems, and AvePoint software is a way to solve those problems through better data management in the Microsoft ecosystem.
Right. And I'm assuming that when you were looking for these different companies to possibly acquire, when you formed the SPAC, you probably had some kind of specific criteria that you were looking for. So can you briefly explain a little bit about the criteria that you were looking for when you were, trying to buy these private companies, specifically with AvePoint? What were you looking for in AvePoint?
We were looking for a cloud software company with a great product, with large number of referenceable customers, preferably large brand name customers like the United States State Department, things like that. Terrific management team that was technical, that was also very good at go-to-market, and a big market. I mentioned Microsoft has 280 million users. We only have 7 million users, so we have a 3% market share. And our plan is we're growing over 30% a year. Our plan is to get to a 10% market share. And if we can get to 10% market share of what will then be a bigger market, let's say 500 million users, we can get to 50 million users. So grow from 7 million to 50 million users over the next number of years. So we were looking for each of those, and we met with over 100 companies, and AvePoint checked all the boxes. Check, check, check. Product, market, management, opportunity, growth, and profitability. AvePoint's also profitable. So very exciting about the opportunity.
So I definitely want to get into that a little bit later in this conversation with your partnership with Microsoft. But it sounds like after what you were just saying, you were looking for a company that was, one, growing fast, two, a company that was very, very profitable already, and then three, they had already a large market that they were a part of. Four, they had great technologies, and then five, they had a very good and experienced leadership team, because this company's, they're 20 years old already. So moving forward a little bit, what makes AvePoint in particular a little bit different than some of the other cloud software companies that are in this space right now?
Well, we are the leader in data management for the Microsoft Cloud ecosystem. So if you have data and you're concerned about cybersecurity and privacy and you want to manage your data better, you can develop tools in-house, which is expensive, time-consuming, and whenever things change, you have to have your own internal team do it. This is a much more effective and efficient way of managing your data. So we're still a relatively small company to Microsoft, and many companies just don't know who we are. So the challenge for us is, how do we invest more in marketing to get our name out? How do we hire more salespeople, both in North America and around the world, so we can develop relationships with large companies around the world and the mid-market and the small business? And then for our existing customers, we have over 20 products. How do we go back to them through customer success and say, look, you love product A, let's tell you now about product B and C, and continue to cross-sell and upsell. So we have multiple vectors of growth.
Right. And just to touch on, again, what you previously just stated. So right now, there's about 250 million plus daily active users on the Microsoft Cloud. And right now, you guys have around a 3% market share of that, which comes in around 7 to 7.5 million daily active users. And you said that Microsoft was planning on growing that 280 million users to 500 million users in the future. And you will want to increase your market share from 3% to 10%. And 10% of 500 million is 50 million daily active users. So you're essentially more than 5xing your daily active users. So can you explain how you plan on increasing this market share over the next couple of years? And then also, how long do you believe it's going to take to get to that point when you have a 10% market share of that future daily active users that Microsoft has?
Yeah, actually, it's active users, not daily active users, just to clarify that. But we're growing at 30% a year. And so when we've been doing that for some time. And so I think we can just continue at the current course, growing at that rate, which you could just do the math on how long it takes to go from 7 to 50 at 30% a year. Would be a reasonable plan. Okay.
So that makes me want to move on to the numbers a little bit more. So can you explain to us the revenue that we have been seeing with AvePoint so far, maybe the revenue expectations for 2021, the profitability, are you guys profitable? And then also, do you guys have any debt? And then can you just talk about that real quick?
Yes, David, we have forecast publicly that we'll have $194 million of revenue this year. We had a few months ago, when we filed our documents with the SEC, we had forecast a lower number. We've already raised it once. We forecast profitability of $8 million of earnings before interest taxes. So we're profitable, we're cash flow positive. We have no debt. when the deal closes, we'll have 250 million in cash, which we won't need for our core business. We'll use the cash to make acquisitions. And I've talked about the organic growth, but acquisitions are going to be very important too. The company has not made acquisitions in the past. My partner, Brad Koenig, who's going to be advisor to the company, was the head of Goldman Sachs global technology team. He's done over 100 acquisitions. I spent my career as CFO doing acquisitions at Oracle and other places. And so Brad and I'm going to join the board of directors, and Brad and I are going to be very helpful with AvePoint in adding acquisitions to the toolkit, because there are quite a few companies that have 10, 20, 30, $50 million of revenue that are in related businesses. We can acquire those businesses, take those products, sell those products to our sales force, to our existing customers, and dramatically accelerate the revenue of the companies we acquire. So we think we have an opportunity not only to grow organically at 30% a year, but then layer in acquisition growth on top of that, given the capital we'll have as a public company.
Well, it's definitely nice to hear that from an investor standpoint, to know that you and then also your partner has a lot of experience in that category. Like you said, you worked at Oracle as a CFO, and you were probably acquiring companies very, very often when you're working there. So it's definitely exciting that you're probably going to be doing hopefully the same thing once this merger does go through. So the next section of this conversation, I actually asked some of my subscribers what questions that they might have for you. And some of these questions are from my subscribers. And then also some of them are just questions that I personally had that I just wanted to add them in. So I'm just going to go through these one by one. But the first one that I wanted to talk about is, are there any other cloud companies in this space right now that have a partnership with Microsoft? And if so, what makes the partnership that you had with Microsoft a little bit different?
Well, Microsoft has thousands or tens of thousands of partners. They of all the big tech companies, they are the most partner friendly. They love selling through partners, because what we do is we sell AvePoint. Every time someone buys AvePoint, they use more Microsoft Cloud. And so every time we make a sale, Microsoft makes more revenue, and they want to help us do that. Microsoft's strategy has gone from selling software to selling usage. They want people not only to sign up for Microsoft, they want people to use the Microsoft Cloud, Microsoft Office 365 and Microsoft Teams. So they pay their salespeople commissions when AvePoint sells more through an introduction from Microsoft. It's a very close relationship. Their product teams meet with our product teams all the time. We have a 2-year visibility into what their roadmap's going to be over the next 2 years. There are other Microsoft partners like us who are actually much larger companies, but not competitive with us. Companies like DocuSign and others that are great Microsoft partners. We're the leading data management partner for Microsoft. So it's very important for us.
Got it. So it seems like when it's a very good partnership, because when Microsoft grows, you grow, and when you grow, Microsoft grows as well. So the next question.
Can I tell a story, David, about that? A friend of mine, when we announced the deal, a friend of mine called me and said, my son works as a salesman at Microsoft. Maybe you should talk to him and check him out. And I said, great. And I called him up. I'd never met him before. And I said, look, I'm going to be joining the board of AvePoint. What do you think about them? And they said, they are my number one partner. I've just sold 3 deals this quarter with AvePoint. And whenever anyone asks me about data management, I just say, hey, there's really no alternative. You have to use AvePoint. Just give them a call. And often customers call him to just as an endorsement. The deal starts by the AvePoint salesperson, but they call the Microsoft salesperson and say, what do you think about AvePoint? And Microsoft says they're great. You should go with them.
Wow. So the next question that I have, and this was actually from one of my subscribers, and he asked, we've been promised many different merger date windows. I believe when I started covering the stock back in the later half of 2020, there was merger date windows expecting to close in like the first quarter of 2021. So can you explain a little bit about why these might have constantly been changing? Then also, how can we as investors feel confident that the next expected merger date will actually close as scheduled?
The bottleneck was the SEC. First of all, there were so many deals happening. The SEC was slow in reviewing documents. And secondly, the SEC changed the accounting rules where the warrant accounting had to change. And then for all SPACs, what we had to do is go back, value the warrants as a liability. And so we had to hire an outside firm to do the valuation. And then we had to hire our auditor to re-audit and audit the work of the valuation. So that slowed things down by about 2 months for all SPACs. Now that that's complete, and now the SEC has approved our S4, we now have a date. So we're through all the SEC review. There's no other delay. The date's June 30th. And I encourage anyone on this call who's an Apex shareholder, please vote your shares, because a vote, if you just don't vote, it's a vote against. So if you have shares, you'll get information with an 800 number, or you can go online and vote. So please vote your shares, and then the shareholder votes June 30th, and the deal will close July 2nd.
Got it. So right now, just talking about the valuation of AvePoint, do you believe that APXT and AvePoint stock, on a more price per share standpoint, do you think that they are valued, reasonable compared to some of the other similar software companies or data software companies that are in the same space right now?
Yes, David, the valuation, the best way to look at it is on a comparable company basis. So who are the other comparable cloud software companies who are growing 30% a year, who are profitable, and what are their values? And one interesting comp is a company called Jamf, JMF, which sells software into the Apple ecosystem the same way we sell software into the Microsoft ecosystem. And on that basis, we're trading at under 7 times, I think it's about 6.8 times next year's revenue, 2022 revenue. And the comps are trading at 9 times or higher. So it looks like we're 20 or 25% undervalued relative to our comps compared to comparable growing companies.
Okay.
And I think the reason for that is because of the SPAC structure, that there are many people who look at Apex and they say, well, Apex is a SPAC, it's not a software company. In a month, we're going to be a software company. So anyone who buys today is going to get AvePoint, and then in a month, people are going to start buying AvePoint, and it'll trade. It's likely to trade in line with comparable companies.
Right. I think that's something that I've noticed as well by just, being on YouTube for a little bit, is that when people are investing in a company like Apex Technologies Acquisition Corporation, they know that it's a SPAC company, but they're just not sure if it's going to close and it's going to merge with the company that they're expecting to merge with, and how long it's going to take. But it really sounds like we're actually very close to that merger date, towards sometime in the beginning of next month in July. So it's just a time to really get into AvePoint technically before the merger actually does go through, which is super exciting.
Yeah, in addition to that, the structure of SPACs is that you can get your $10 back if the deal doesn't close. So I guess there's some small possibility the deal doesn't close, but if so, 2 years from the date we started, which would be later this year, every individual shareholder can get $10 back. So the stock, it's hard to imagine how the stock can get much below $10. And obviously if AvePoint before the closing, and then once the deal closes, then you get AvePoint stock, and then you have the upside and the downside of AvePoint, but we think there's a lot of upside.
So 2 more questions. First one is, can you talk a little bit more about some of your main revenue channels in AvePoint right now? And then also, do you possibly see any other possible revenue sources in the future that we might not know about yet, that you guys might be working on?
Well, the main revenue source is our enterprise sales, where we have quite a few salespeople all around the world calling on medium and large customers in a standard, well-known enterprise sales go-to-market model. And we have excellent trained people with very good return on sales metrics. The new channel for us is selling through partners to small businesses. So if you had, let's say, 50 employees at your company, you probably don't have a head of IT at your company. You probably have a managed service provider, an MSP, who takes care of all your IT for you. And then the MSP decides, we should use AvePoint. And so what we do is we sell to the MSPs. The MSPs will just install AvePoint on their 100 customers or their 1,000 customers. And we sell to the MSPs through app stores, through marketing. And that is growing over 100% a year for us. That's a very fast growing channel for us.
Got it. And then the last question is, do you plan on offering similar data management solutions compatible with other possible big cloud providers such as Google, Amazon, Apple, things like that? Or are you strictly just focusing on Microsoft partnership and developing that over the years?
We already offer software that works in the Salesforce ecosystem, and Salesforce is acquiring Slack. And so our strategy is to go where our customers want us to go. So we ask our customers, what's next on your roadmap? And if you want to expand beyond the Microsoft ecosystem, then we'll absolutely support them in data management, because that's what our customers need. Right now, there's so much white space in the Microsoft ecosystem that the value for every incremental product dollar and sales dollar is very high in Microsoft. So we think there's as I said, we think we can grow 7x from 7 million to 50 million users just within Microsoft. And then any other growth in Google or Salesforce or other ecosystems will be on top of that.
Okay. Well, Jeff, I just want to thank you for taking some time out of your day to speak with us and speaking with the viewers on my channel. I know that you are probably a busy guy, and it really means a lot for you to come on the channel. And I also want to wish you the best of luck in the coming weeks leading up to this merger with AvePoint. And I hope that at one point in the future, we can get you back on the channel and you can give us another quick update on how this merger is going and everything like that. So, Jeff, thank you so much for coming on today.
David, I would love to come back. I'm really impressed by the research you've done before this call. You obviously know a lot about the company already, and so we love to talk to people who've done their homework. And I just like to urge anyone on the call who's a shareholder, even if you only own 100 shares or 1,000 shares or however many shares you own, vote your shares. Your vote counts.
Absolutely. Well, you heard it there first, guys. Jeff said vote, so make sure you guys vote if you are currently a shareholder in APXT stock. And if you did enjoy this video, you learned a little bit more about Apex Technologies Acquisition Corporation and AvePoint, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. And then also, if you're new to this channel, this is your first time watching one of my videos, make sure that subscribe button down below, and I would love to have you a part of the channel. So that's all I have for you in this video today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take it easy.